Intellectuals long debated the true identity behind the works of William Shakespeare, until realizing that Shakespeare comes from a Middle English word meaning infinite supply of monkeys. I recently learned that Mississippi is the only US state that doesn't recognize the Armenian genocide. Well, I say Armenian genocide, but you can think of it as disappearance under suspicious circumstances. In 2017, Malawi had to issue a curfew against vigilante groups who were trying to kill people they suspected of being vampires, because that's the best way to convince people vampires aren't real, not letting them go out at night. My friend told me he was going to go hit the sack, and I said, yeah, that usually shuts the dog up, but the brick in the canal will do most of the work. Irony? Isn't that what healthy blood should be? The Romanian castle that inspired Dracula's castle has now become a COVID vaccine centre. Along with your vaccine, Bran Castle offers you free entry to their exhibit full of 52 medieval torture weapons. Finally, an answer to the question, what nightmares would be shared by both an anti-vaxxer and a Malawian vigilante? I really hope that fans of comedy actor Zach Braff don't refer to themselves as the Braffrican Americans. I recently wrote a musical about Scottish independence. It's called Dance, Dance, Devolution. That's the thing about throat surgeries. The results really speak for themselves. I find the way that Jehovah's Witnesses try to convert you to their faith very uncomfortable. I find it's often best to keep them at Psalm's length. When Jesus first reappeared to Mary after his resurrection, she didn't recognize him and thought he was the gardener, which is pretty racist. Isn't it weird when a nature documentary describes a lion as 6 tons of muscle and teeth? It's very misleading. It makes it sound like a lion isn't a living thing, but instead something you might accidentally summon by speaking Esperanto. In 2019, British people spent an estimated £6.9 million on their pets, but it's important to remember that number is massively inflated by Dr. Archibald Smith of Bristol and his troupe of world-famous dancing woolly mammoths. A lot of people are bad at identifying animosity, and I have to tell them it's not called animosity, it's called Zootopia. The scientific name for the Eurasian lynx is Lynx lynx. Ah yes, the Eurasian lynx. So good they named it twice. Why shouldn't you play cards in the jungle? No, there aren't too many cheetahs, they're endangered. It's because you might run into one of those hellish Esperanto demon spawn lines we mentioned earlier. Studies have shown that Peaky Blinders has influenced the way that British men dress, leading to a revival in upmarket gangster attire. I can't be the only one who's glad that it was Peaky Blinders and not the man in the high castle. Surely a country's current export is usually raisins. A flat white is either a type of coffee or how a coroner might describe Princess Diana. I do feel bad about that one, but not the next one I'm about to do. Boris Johnson. What a figure to be leading the nation through a pandemic. I mean, he's a picture of health. Sadly, the picture is a mugshot. Boris Johnson permanently looks like he's being escorted to a prom with the theme Under the Weather. I highly suspect that every doctor Boris has ever been to see was the same caveman who always prescribed bloodletting as treatment for him. Christopher Nolan's latest movie, Tenet, has been described as James Bond on acid, as opposed to James Bond on antidepressants, which is just the bleak reality of being a spy. When the media describes President Joe Biden as fit and healthy, it reminds me of sailors lost at sea mistaking manatees for mermaids after losing all perspective. The story goes that Icarus flew too close to the sun, melting the wax on his wings and causing him to fall to his death, as opposed to Amelia Earhart, who flew too close to the sky. Yeah, I liked your set, Hamish, but I didn't like your bit about Amelia Earhart. It was very insensitive. The ancient Greeks used their pantheon of gods to reflect both their deepest desires and greatest faults. And that's why it's so upsetting that so many of their stories feature Zeus fucking animals. There's a lot of talk about decolonization these days. I know for a lot of people, decolonization is unsettling, but that's because they're synonyms. I really like the word roadrunner. It sounds so much better than I got arrested for jaywalking. Please, call me Ben. Mr. Dover was my father. I met a girl the other day. She told me her name was Claire with an E. Kind of weird to name your child after a French pastry. Matthew McConaughey used to get paid to shoot armadillos off golf courses. Would be a terrible line to open his eulogy with. Prince Andrew looks like the dad on a sitcom called It's Always Sunny in Pedophilia. Right, I'm going to make like a Northern European language and finish. Thank you very much.